Hi, Bethany.
Hi, Elaine.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. So, everybody, I met this woman last week on a mastermind. She came and inspired me. And so I thought, why not bring her on board today? You can all start to follow her on Instagram like I do. She's DIY Invest Her. So smart. And yeah, so I thought maybe you could introduce yourself and
Yeah,
maybe do a little story maybe about how you got started.
yeah, absolutely. So my husband and I are real estate agents in Portland, the Portland, Oregon area, Pacific Northwest. And we also buy investment properties. We rehab them and make them into rentals. And so we don't flip homes necessarily, but we do all of the work that goes into flipping and we make them rental properties. We started out because all we could afford was a tiny house that was a rundown home. And so when I finally convinced my husband to buy our first house, because he didn't grow up in real estate and I did. I grew up in the real estate industry, knew that it was a good investment. Mm-hmm. What we realized is we bought this home, and this was like years ago, and so these numbers don't exist now, but we bought a home for $126,500. And we put about $20,000-ish into that house, a lot of sweat equity, and that includes our down payment. So that includes what we put down on the property. We did an FHA 3.5% loan.
Yeah.
If you have questions about lending or who to get connected with, talk to Elaine. Yeah. She can get you connected with a great lender. But we were able to get a great interest rate and all of these things because it was our primary residence. And then what we did was we put sweat equity into the home while we lived there, and we refinanced the home and pulled out $100,000. So then our small $20,000 investment gave us this $100,000 return, and we took that money and put it into another house. Mm-hmm. And then we made that home, our first home, a rental, and it cash flows. We just refinanced it. So we bought it for $126,000. We put $20,000 into it. We just refinanced it for $380,000.
See? Yeah.
Yeah. But we had pulled out $100,000 a year after we bought it, right? So in a year, we got $100,000 equity. Pulled that $100,000 out, put that into another property. Now this home rents and it cash flows for $650 is the new number. That is great. So now we're making $650,000. We pulled out that $100,000 and we put it in another property. And then we rehabbed that property. We pulled the cash from that. We refinanced it, pulled the cash from that, and put it into another property. And so then we did that. And then in between, as we were doing that, because we didn't want to move every year, we've been moving about every 18 months.
We do actually move into some of them.
We do. Yeah. We just recently, the house I'm in right now, we just purchased and closed in November, and it is a big fixer. And I do this with a 2-year-old. What?
It looks nice behind you.
It's a white wall. I painted it. And I do this with I have a 2-year-old and a 7-month-old.
Yeah.
So it's doable with kids. But then as we started building this equity, because we can put less down when it's our primary, so we really only need $30,000-$40,000 to put down. That extra, $60,000 can go down to a down payment on another rental that we don't have to live in.
Right.
And then we renovate that. We follow the BRRRR method with bigger pockets. And so buy, renovate, buy, rehab, refinance, rent, and repeat.
Yeah.
So those are the steps. Yeah. And so then we were able to start breaking off and be able to afford other homes that weren't ones that we lived in. But that's where we started. We could only afford to put 3.5% down. We didn't have a ton of cash. Like our initial down payment was $17,000. That's all we had. And that's all we had saved up for a down payment on a house. So now, right, we just moved into we bought this home for $470,000. It appraised out at $500,000. Yay, instant equity. And we only we actually didn't put any of our own money into it. We just pulled from another home that we owned and put that we needed 3.5% down, which ended up being $26,000.
Yeah.
But because we're realtors, we ended up getting a commission back
Right.
So we only ended up having to pull like 13,000 from one of our other homes to put down into this home. So our cash on cash return here is great. It already, well, we just had it. We're getting ready to refinance it again, even though we just bought it, because we can actually.
Penalties when you're refinancing?
Say that again?
Are you getting penalties when you're refinancing?
No, because if we do it within, like we've had like 6 refinances this year, and so they're not having to pull our credit every single time if we stay within the
Oh yeah,
same
because they can keep using it.
company.
Yeah.
And within the same, we have to, like, it has to be within the same time period.
Yeah.
And so then our lenders, it's like, well, we're going to hold off on this refinance because you're planning on refinancing this other home. So let's keep that all together.
Yeah.
And so like this home will cash flow us when we make it a rental in 18 months, will cash flow us about $750 a month. And the home we just moved out of we're getting ready to get it rented, will cash flow us $750 a month too.
Yeah, that's so good. And that's one of the things that I enjoyed about you, because when I go out with first time home buyers now, that's how I educate them, is really to, think of this first house as your first investment property, because you'll use equity gained from this to buy your second home and learn like that. Whereas generations before us would always think, pay down your mortgage, pay off your mortgage, rather than moving your money around into different properties.
Yeah, and the truth is, we haven't invested any more than that initial down payment, that 20,000 initial amount.
Just leverage your money everywhere.
We just kept leveraging it. Exactly. And then when you get the renter in, then the renter is paying that mortgage plus some, and we haven't been living off of our cash flow. We've been using that cash flow to invest in other properties and build, because we run other businesses that pay our bills.
Right.
And so we're able to leverage that because we know that we're building like this, and it feels slow at first. But like one example is this year, I was able to pick up our ultimate goal is to live on acreage. Like, we don't want to live in fixer-uppers for the rest of our lives. We want acreage, we want property, we want a little farm, all of this. But because of the choices that we've made, we were able to pull out $200,000 cash from multiple properties and buy 5 acres. That's just sitting right now. We're going to build on it later this year. Oh, and that piece of property is worth $380,000.
Wow.
But we didn't have to come up with any money, right? Like we were able to leverage our rentals to do that.
Yeah.
And still be able to build and buy more rentals.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. What's your average price down there for a house?
So the average price in the Portland area is $525. The average price, and that's, and by average, that's like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch style 1,100 square foot house. Okay. In my little town, because I'm on the very edge of the Portland area, our average is closer to $475.
Okay. That's interesting for us to know. Like right now where I am, we were like 935,000 last year. This year we're almost at 1.2 million.
That's crazy.
For anybody looking for a detached house, 3-4 bedrooms, they're looking over $1 million here. Yeah. And so that's why I wanted to bring you on, because there is such a thing as being able to invest cross borders. Yeah. And what a great connection you would be to make that happen. So why do you think people should invest, other than what you've already explained?
So my biggest thing is that what we're kind of looking at is, we're looking at building generational wealth. And I view wealth as being able to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And so the reason we don't flip, which I see nothing wrong with flipping houses, but it's because all it's doing is creating another job for yourself, right? You're getting a paycheck and then you're paying taxes on it. When you're renovating a home, you're actually creating what I call leveraged wealth for yourself. So you don't really have to do anything. It's passive income. I don't think there's often not anything passive about all passive incomes. There's usually something you saying
that too. Yeah.
There's something you have to do usually, even if it's just being educated about what the market is doing. So knowing when to make good choices. But that's why, like, it's important to us is that we're trying to build a retirement fund for ourselves. Being self-employed, like, our options are like, we could create an Roth IRA, we could create, put money in a money market account, do
Yeah.
stocks, all of that.
Yes.
But
And retire early.
yes, but the
Yeah.
goal for us, like we want to do more. And so we want to be able to retire early, be able to spend time with our kids, all of that, and not have to work a job. And so flipping is great because it gets you the cash that you need, but it's just another job. And so by creating rentals, you're creating wealth for yourself down the road.
Yes.
And that's kind of what we're focused on. Our goal is to get ourselves up to $10,000 a month in income coming in from our rentals. We're about 2 years out from that.
And that 10,000 is really to cover the expenses that you have. Is that right?
So yeah. To keep my nanny, to keep my like the lifestyle that we currently live, that's about what we would need. Right. That's going on 1, maybe 2 vacations a year. That's like all of that kind of stuff. And we will my husband and I love to work, so we'll keep working, but not having to and having the flexibility to be like, on Monday, I'm going to go do this. On Tuesday, I'm going to go do this versus having to like do things. And I think like for people who either haven't bought a home or aren't investing in real estate, like the first step is to buy a house, buy your own property, stop paying somebody else's mortgage. Cause that's what you're doing when you're renting.
Yeah.
And so that's like the first step. And then the second step is to say like, how can I leverage my income in a way that it's not just coming in and sitting in a bank account, but what can I do with this income to make it work for itself?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a mindset for people, but I know clients of mine that are investors or even myself, once you do one, it's easier to do 2.
Yes, exactly.
It's easier to do more and more and more.
The hardest one is the first.
Yeah. And if someone was thinking about doing it, would you suggest they do it anytime after they buy that house?
Go now. Start now. I mean, I don't know about your market in Canada. I follow it a little bit. Our market's not going down anytime soon. Like there would have to be a massive economic change.
Our market kind of follows yours a lot. So our markets continue to go up. Rates might go up as well, which might bring it down a little bit, but not much.
Yeah. So if you're waiting for a market crash or for this amazing deal, you're just going to keep waiting. Yeah, what you need to change your mindset on is how can I create a deal in the season I'm in right now? What do I need to do to create a deal in the season I'm in now? So one of our like bread and butter niches that we focus on is we take 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses and figure out a way to make them 5 bedrooms. Because in our market, I can rent a 5-bedroom out for $600-700 a bedroom, but I'm buying it at a 3-bedroom price point. So then it's more than covering my mortgage. Yeah. So it's like, what other opportunities can you do? Is there the possibility of creating another unit, an ADU? Is there a possibility of, I know this girl who, she never rents out the garages with her houses. Instead, she makes that a storage unit and rents it out completely separately as a storage unit. And then rents out the house as a house. Like, great. So it's about getting creative in the market that you're in, because you cannot count on the market changing to, like, if you're always chasing the market, you're always going to be behind because you're chasing it. So that's what I would say. And then to get your wealth in a place where like you're ready to invest, if you're not already investing, I would suggest listening to the podcast Win, Make, Give.
Okay.
Have you heard that, Elaine?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh, it is so good. There's a series called the Wealth Series. It is, I believe it's 8 episodes. They're about half an hour a piece. And they actually have a website too. And they have actionable items on the website to like walk you through like getting real with your finances and real about where you're wanting to go with them. And so there's like zero judgment, and like wealth is just a number. And so we're the ones who put judgment on that, right? We're like, oh my gosh, my net worth is negative 300,000. All I have is debt. And you're like, okay, well, there's no judgment in that. It's just getting a reality. And then it's saying, what do I want to do and how do I get there? Well, this is what I want my lifestyle to look like. And here's my gap. So this is what I need to do to get that gap fixed.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anything final to say as we wrap up? Maybe how people contact you, or your handle on Instagram, because you're so
find me on
good.
Instagram. That's the best way. It's at DIY Invest Her, Her. So I spell investor wrong on purpose. Find me there. I message people back. Would love to chat with you. My husband and I do consultations with people, meeting about like, excuse me, like how to start your investment strategy, because the way that we do it might not be the way that you want to do it, right? Because it's all about what your lifestyle is and what you're wanting to do.
Yes.
And so my way might be different, but we're like really good problem solvers and happy to like help you figure out what works for you guys.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. That's great. And super, super knowledgeable, I think, because you're onto multiple properties. And it's really that mindset. And I do think it's a different way of thinking than generations before us.
Yeah.
And maybe some of them will get to it too, but it's just when you look at, some of these education funds or retirement funds, nothing's going to give you the return real estate will.
Absolutely not. And then also it's just like once you pull your money out of it, like that return stops. And
That's
so
right.
like the beauty of real estate is you can pull your money from it and you're still getting a return on it.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, is this illegal? It's not.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. That's brilliant. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy. You got little ones and you've got a big business.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Super good talking to you. I hope you have a great Christmas.
Thank you. You guys as well. It was great to talk with you.
It was awesome. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.